This is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. We don't have any Kroger news this week.
No Kroger.
No,
No.
but we do have Prima Wawona news.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have to give some massive credit to the Fresno Bee because they had some awesome, not just coverage, but they had, and we linked to it, they had maps to all the acreage that was for sale and all throughout the well, basically southern Fresno area, I guess. But it was
Yeah,
amazing to see it visually, to see where all this was coming from. And then we got a hold of the lawsuit um, and documentation, court documentation that listed all the buyers. Um, and the Fresno Bee actually ran a list a couple of weeks ago of proposed buyers, and then we followed up with the actual buyers that were accepted. There were some big purchases, a couple of big names involved. Biggest, of course, were Sun Pacific and Moonlight, who are actually teaming up to buy quite a bit, 5,000 acres for $91 million. But there were a couple other ones, lesser known, some guy named Brett Britz for 28 million. That's a lot of acreage.
the funny thing was about it is that when you think of Sun Pacific, or at least those of us in the produce industry, immediately comes to my brain is Cuties. They own the Cuties trademark brand. I also know them for grapes. I believe it's like the Big Chief grapes or
Yeah.
some kind of chief grapes.
And
I
Mighty's kiwi fruit.
Yes, yeah, Mighty's. But it doesn't really ring a bell for me for stone fruit as much as the whole citrus deal, the Cuties deal. So partnering with Moonlight may be something where they're deciding to get more into the stone fruit gig. Obviously, buying 5,000 acres of prime real estate there for stone fruit growing is an indication. I don't know if it would become citrus. That would be quite an undertaking.
That is
So
not what they said to the Fresno Bee. They said the vast majority would stay tree fruit as it is now, or um, possibly replanting some of the older trees. I asked them if each of them if they would expand on it, and both declined and just pointed me to what they told the bee.
yeah, I mean, like you said, kudos to the Fresno Bee. When this hit the trade media, it was all pretty much recycled Fresno Bee content. Somebody over there went through a lot of court documents because we dug through our own amount of court documents just to find the over a million buyers, and it was quite a lot to sift through. So, good for them.
Yeah, at least I don't have to write those court documents. Man, that would be miserable.
Yeah, right. I did take a little field trip this week because took a look at the Dollar General earnings report. And first of all, they mentioned that they're going to expand produce to another 1,400 stores, I believe, by the end of the year. So that'll put them in the close to 7,000, which is fabulous. But they engaged an AI firm to analyze their self-checkout to see how much shrink. The word shrink was used 37 times during the quarterly report. And I haven't gone back and like did the find and search of all of those transcripts to see how many times in another quarterly report it's been used, but 37 seems like a lot. Um,
Well, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean, calling it uncontrollable shrink, that is not a good deal. Nor is that a any evidence of their customers being in a high trust society.
Well, true. So the AI firm looked at both the intentional sweethearting, the theft, intentional theft, and accidental misrings, and they determined that they're going to pull self-checkout out of thousands of stores and then institute. And you know what? A lot of retailers that I know of like my Homer across the way, HEB has limits on the number of items that you can take through self-checkout. I believe it's 10 at most of their stores. Walmart, on the other hand, does not have limits, and the store that I watch like this to see what kind of new stuff's coming from Walmart. Gutted all of their checkout lanes, but one or two, actually two. Put in all of these self-checkouts and expected you to do like massive carts full of stuff in the self-checkout. And it was chaos. Like I went there the other day to see what's going on after Dollar General news broke. And literally while I was checking out, I decided to go buy a few things because I was already there. This older gentleman started griping at the lady who was doing the traffic to try to, tell people where to go. And it was a meme. It was the meme of the grumpy old man who couldn't figure out how to check out his stuff and was griping about having to check out his own stuff. And I don't work here. It
I love
happened in
that.
real life.
He is right. He does not work there.
He does not work there. However, what's going on there, and the thing that is going around social media about what Walmart and Target are doing, and they're saying that you're going to have to pay for the right to check out. And what they mean is that Walmart has put in these Walmart Plus only lanes. I have yet to see a single person use those. And Walmart Plus, for those who don't know what it is Walmart's answer to Amazon Prime. So it costs about this. Actually, it's cheaper than Amazon Prime now, and it gives you 2-day shipping, free or complimentary as part of the membership program.
Well,
And
prepaid in this case.
yeah, prepaid, yeah. And then it's also trying to give you things that you may not have had before, like they're trying to add features. And one of those features is dedicated checkout lanes that are self-checkout at Walmart. So the people of the internet have decided that this is Walmart deciding that you're going to have to pay to use self-checkout, but it's actually just their subscription service and trying to add features to it. I cannot fathom a way that it would actually be true that the only way you could do self-checkout at a store is to pay ahead of time for it. I do see they brought back 8 full service checkout lanes, 2 of which are open at any given time, maybe 2. And they had about, 10 or 12 self-checkout lanes. And what Walmart is doing is they're letting everyone go through self-checkout. There's no item limit on it. It's chaos when you're trying to like check out a huge cart full of stuff. You're going to miss things. Like you're going to take forever. It's a miserable experience. And you will eventually become that old man standing there and griping, or Walmart's going to come after you for accidentally stealing something that you didn't mean to.
Well, it's different if I would think Dollar General has more barcode items and less groceries, and even some of the produce. What percent of produce there is barcoded? It's got to be high, if not all.
I think it's 100%. I don't think they have scales in there for random weight things. I don't
Okay,
think
so
they're,
that makes self-checkout very easy. What makes
it does.
self-checkout difficult is weighing, finding POU codes. That should be that should be designated for professionals. I
Right.
told you before, I have an Aldi rule. It's 20 items and over. I'm not going to self-checkout because the professionals are faster, even if the line's 5 deep. I'm not as fast as them. It's gonna take me a longer time. I won't do it.
Whole Foods over the weekend with my family, and they have it's of course mango season is really ramping up, especially Mexican mangoes. And one of my favorites is the champagne mangoes, and Whole Foods has those like as one of their specialties. And I'm standing in the checkout lane. I got a whole bunch of stuff. My family's with me, and the cashier lady was like, all of the self-checkout lanes are open, kind of shaming me to go over to self-checkout, and I knew it was a bad idea. I knew it. I went over there anyway, and the mango's got a G10 on it. It's got the code. I scanned it. It did not come up, and the dude comes over and tries to explain to me how the system is supposed to work with produce and self-checkout, and I'm just like, mm-hmm. And my husband was laughing to himself, knowing that I am restraining myself from educating this gentleman on on how, yes, I know how it's supposed to work. That little code on the mango is supposed to ring up your PLU code.
Right.
And
But it's
yeah,
not working.
even at Whole Foods, it doesn't work. So Dollar General, Whole Foods, they have very different customers. And I feel like they just found that they messed up. you can't just let it be a free-for-all. It can't be, dozens and dozens of items, with no oversight, with nobody watching, you're better off having the investment in labor than the investment in technology at this time.
Yeah.
Um,
Unless you have a Costco-like model, which has like two-fold verification. They have people right there, and if you have bigger items, they come over and scan it for you, so you don't have to drag them over. And then they have a guy at the door checking your items.
yeah, I
So
mean,
I
my
imagine their
Costco is,
miss ring is got to be minuscule.
yeah, it is minuscule, especially because at my Costco, at least, the self-checkout lane is not a self-checkout. It's manned, all of them. They just stand there with the thingy and scan it in your cart. And I'm so type A that I show up in the self-checkout lane with all my barcodes facing up. And I feel like I get a little gold star every time they mention, thank you for putting all your barcodes up. But that's the kind of shopper I am. There's no miss rings in my cart.
No, I don't think they'll let you miss ring there.
No, that's for sure. What else were oh
Your
what else were we
background,
what else were we gonna talk about? Did I
yeah,
forget about it?
that is a beautiful background.
The
Those
photos
are
were,
very nice looking produce items. It looks like, let me count them, 12.
yeah, there's 12 here, and they are just shiny and clean, intentionally clean. It was the Dirty Dozen week, and we knew it was coming because the Alliance for Food and Farming has been on its full court press ahead of the release of the Dirty Dozen. And these are like, here's number one is grapes, and it goes this, actually no, number one is strawberries, sorry, it's reversed. So it goes this way. Green beans is number 12, and the Shopper's Guide to Pesticides in Produce. And we have always taken the stance that this is based on junk science. All produce is good produce, and all produce is better than eating not produce.
Right.
Um,
And
and
washing
and
produce is recommended from everywhere from your mother to the CDC to your doctor to your grocer.
yes, and all of the science says that none of the levels that they're testing are even close to any kind of risk. For example, what was the number of servings of apples you'd have to eat to get close to the minimum threshold? I think it was like 500 servings a day,
Yeah,
perhaps something like that.
that's a
Uh,
lot of fiber.
that is a lot of apples. I don't even know if like a competitive eater could get to 500 servings of apples a day. Let's see if Joey Chestnut can get on this, because I don't think it's going to happen. But it did. The Dirty Dozen's back out, and we run them just for awareness, and because it is literally, some consumers are looking for information. They don't understand where to start. They're interested in organics, and they want to know. And Google tells them, "Hey, here's this Shopper's Guide to Pesticides in Produce. It's great for search engine optimization." They know what they're doing. Um, but there are some things to point out. And the Alliance for Food and Farming has sent a 3-part series kind of outlining some of the things that you need to know about this list. And part 3, sorry, it's like I just pulled it up on my screen, has
Shots
some,
fired in part three.
I know they pulled
No
no
more
punches
Mr.
in
Nice
part
Guy.
3. What was that one that we mentioned? Um, oh yeah,
PWP's motivation in releasing this list is not about consumers' health or safety. Their interest is in using fear as a motivation to move consumers toward their donors' preferred food options and raise money among their constituent base. Have you found that to ring pretty true?
so every time I go to download this list, because of course they make you jump through some hoops before you get to see which 12 are on the list or whatever, or to download their actual like graphic for it. And you have to answer these questions as you get through here. And I screen cap this one and I'll put it up on here. Number 3, toxic pesticides like neonicotinoid. You've told this one before.
Neonicotinoids. I'm not looking at it, so it's harder.
Are putting bees at risk for extinction. Without these pollinators, our food system would be at risk. I mean, yeah, save the bees. Are you concerned by the loss of important species of bees or of due to pesticides? And yes, says I'm worried about that pesticides will drive important pollinators to extinction. Or you check no, it's fine with me if butterflies and bees are driven to extinction. Seriously.
That doesn't sound very sciencey.
No, that is unserious. That is unscientific. I don't care about bees. Check. Just give me my list.
Yes.
And one really good point here is for those who still believe the Dirty Dozen list is some kind of a public service, why is there a donate button on every single piece of content concerning this list? Every single step, every single piece, every single thing has a donate button. And it is infuriating when you're just trying to get the list. It turns me off as a consumer. And then they also brought up a point that I hadn't really thought about, that when they publish these lists, they talk about the pesticide data program. And then they're really focused on fungicides this year and how you can't even wash off the fungicides. They were there after we washed. But they don't link out to the data and the studies that they're citing, because those studies show that there's no risk. Those studies show that the vast majority of them do not have contamination that is at a dangerous level.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe this year is when it turned from the Dirty Dozen and the EWG really trying to push their version of the science to just going, screw it. We're just gonna go on straight advocacy and persuasion and donations, please.
Right. But please, donations, handout. I mean, I can remember I've been covering this list for at least a dozen years, if not more. And I don't remember that many clicks to get through. It was almost like they were going to start playing Sarah McLachlan and have like sad emoji fruits. Um, like the little sad strawberry from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too. Those in the know will know that poor strawberry. It felt like that was gonna happen, and it was pretty infuriating. I did check Google News to see what kind of mentions we're getting for Dirty Dozen. CNN comes up. The Daily Mail I thought was interesting because the headline completely misconstrues where the data comes from and where the study comes from, which is on brand for the Daily Mail.
A lot of
CNBC,
British news is, let's write something and we'll see if it's right later.
yeah. So I mean, a lot of them are local stuff, very focused on organics. Yes, but I'm not seeing the one that I did not see, which is my neutral news site, is AP, the Associated Press. They didn't cover it. So that's where I go for my unbiased neutral news, and I didn't see anything on there.
Well, I will tell you, I'm planning to talk with Teresa Thorne of the Alliance for Food and Farming next week. And that will be our follow coverage where we look at how the media is covering it and how and if AFF has had any influence on coverage, because they have had influence in the past, being a counterweight to the EWG. So I'll talk with her and maybe we'll cover that in next week's Week in Review.
Perfect. I'll look forward to seeing it. But for now, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And I hope this isn't my last chance to wear my Jayhawk.
Oh no.
Because
Hey,
March Madness, and we're
my team.
not as strong this year as we have been in past years.
Listen, my team did not win a single game in the SEC. Not one single game. They got a 7'5" center, and they couldn't win a single game.
Yeah, I 0 for 24, and that is in the year 2024
Yes.
wins. But
Wow.
you'll get some more games in November.
It's a rebuilding year.